Today I come to you gently. I know your heart has been heavy and there are days when all you want is silence, because speaking feels more exhausting than staying quiet. You look around your home and feel like something has been lost. It's not the material things. It's the simple gestures. A warm good morning, a touch on the shoulder, genuine listening, light laughter, a hug that says, "I'm here." All of that seems to have faded, and in its place, pride has hidden itself in every corner. I saw it all. I saw when you swallowed your words for fear of making things worse. I saw when you rehearsed an apology but gave up thinking it wasn't worth it. I saw the other side too. The distant eyes of someone who wanted to come back but didn't know how. That's how pride creeps in. It pretends to be protection, but all it really does is build walls. But I'm an expert at rebuilding what's been broken. And today, I want to show you how to heal your family, even if it's been wounded by years of unspoken hurt. Even if no one else believes in restoration, I still do. And if you allow me, today could be the first step toward something new. Not because it will be easy, but because it will be led by me. It doesn't matter if the wound started with a poorly chosen word or a silence that lasted too long. It doesn't matter if it was a hurtful gesture or an unexplained absence. What matters is what you choose to do with it now. You can keep trying to prove you're right, or you can make space for something greater than pride, forgiveness. I'm not here to condemn you. I'm not here to point fingers either. I'm here to remind you that when pride takes over, everyone loses. They lose time, affection, and the chance to live in a peaceful home. But when love chooses to act, everything can change. You don't need to wait for the other person to change before taking the first step. You can be the answer to the silent prayer someone in your house has been making. Maybe that someone is your son, your daughter, your spouse. Maybe it wasn't even a spoken prayer, but a sigh whispered into a tear-soaked pillow. And I heard it. Believe this. When you commit to restoring, I stand beside you. I will soften your words, warm your gestures, and break down pride without breaking people. I'll teach you how to speak without hurting, to listen without interrupting, to love even when the other person feels far away. Because that's how I heal, with patience, tenderness, and truth, but also with strength. Today, all I ask is that you remove that armor. The one that says, "I don't need anyone. I won't lower myself. It's not fair on me." I know you've been hurt, but holding on to pain only makes you sick inside. I came to bring freedom, and freedom begins with a heart willing to start over. Maybe the other person won't notice straight away. Maybe they'll respond with coldness. But don't be fooled. When you change, the atmosphere changes too. The atmosphere in your home responds to love. Even when everything feels hard, I am working behind the scenes. And the seed you plant in humility today will bloom into miracles tomorrow. Don't let the weight defeat you. Don't be discouraged by the silence that seems endless. I am here. And if you let me, I will do what no one else can. Heal your home, starting from within you. Now that you've allowed me into this tender part of your heart, I need to remind you of something essential. Healing is not a one-time event. Healing is a process. And that process within your family will begin in the quiet moments of small actions. It won't be grand speeches or emotional promises that change everything, but rather consistent gestures, the daily decision not to repay wrong with wrong. I know pride's tricks all too well. It wears convincing. I wasn't the one who messed up first. I can't look weak. If I give in, I'll look foolish. But listen carefully. That kind of thinking doesn't protect you, and it only isolates you. And the more your heart gets used to isolation, the harder it becomes to reconnect. That's why I've come today to confront you. With love. Your children don't need a flawless hero. They need a mom or dad who knows how to say sorry. Your spouse doesn't need someone who wins every argument. They need someone who knows when silence builds more than words. Your home doesn't need shouting or being right. It needs real presence. I know you've tried to change the atmosphere before, but maybe you did it hoping for instant applause, quick recognition, or open gratitude. And when none of that came, you shrank back. But today I ask you, return. Start again. Even without applause, even without thanks, because I'm the one who rewards you. Restoration doesn't begin when everything is back to normal. It begins the moment you act out of love instead of pain. It's easy to love those who treat you well, but to love in the face of coldness, without receiving anything in return, that's a sure sign I'm working inside you. And it's that kind of love that breaks down pride and makes room for forgiveness. You don't need fancy words, you don't need grand speeches or long explanations. Sometimes what changes everything is a simple, I'm sorry. It's a, I'm here. A shall we try again? They're simple words, but full of truth. And I am the truth that upholds them. And if by chance you're saying to me now, but Jesus, I was hurt too, I was rejected too, I waited and got let down too. I hold you close. I acknowledge your pain. I was there when it happened. Nothing escaped my sight. And even so, I insist, forgiveness isn't about forgetting. It's choosing not to carry the poison of resentment any longer. And when you release what weighs you down, I can give you lightness. You're afraid of being hurt again. I know. But remember this. When I'm the one guiding you, even reconciliation comes wrapped in protection. You're not entering this alone. I go before you. I soften hearts. I prepare the meeting. But I need you to take that first step with courage. It might be a message, a phone call, a cup of coffee made for no reason, a longer good morning. These are gestures pride would never allow, but love insists on offering. And when you choose to love in the face of indifference, you become my instrument within your home. I will use your hands, your words, your calm, and your family will sense that something's changed, that peace now sits where tension once ruled. Have you noticed how heavy the atmosphere feels when resentment is in the air? How everything seems dense, smiles seem forced, eyes avoid meeting? That's because a house feels what the heart carries. But here's the good news. The opposite is also true. When reconciliation happens, even silence changes. It becomes restful. And, I know, maybe you're thinking, but am I the only one trying? And I tell you, yes, for now that might be true. But remember, I began great changes with people who were alone at the start. Moses climbed the mountain alone. Joseph forgave his brothers alone. And you can be the beginning of a miracle in your home too. Healing will come. But don't expect it with spotlights. It will come behind the scenes, in that moment when you swallow your pride to avoid an argument, in the choice to stay quiet to preserve peace, in the decision to respond with love where you once responded with coldness. That's the quiet revolution that transforms families. And today I'm doing that in yours. Trust me. Even if it feels slow, even if you can't see it yet, I am at work. And your surrender is the first brick of a new house, not made of walls, but of restored hearts. Now that your heart is more open to me, I want you to understand a truth that many overlook. Pride doesn't come from evil. It comes from fear. Fear of being rejected. Fear of giving and not being valued. Fear of going back and appearing weak. But true love casts out all fear. And I am that love. Pride shouts, respect me. Love whispers, I'm still here, even when I'm hurt. Pride builds walls to protect itself. Love builds bridges, even if it has to cross them alone at first. And in your home right now, what's needed most are bridges, not arguments. Maybe you grew up hearing that to give in is to lose. Maybe you learned that showing emotion is a sign of weakness. But I teach you differently. The greatest victors are those who know how to humble themselves, to step down from pride, from ego, from position. Because only those who bow in love understand the strength found in surrender. Today, I want to touch that wound you've been hiding, even from yourself. That word you heard from someone you trusted the most. That rejection that still feels raw, even after so long. That argument that changed everything. And since then, you've struggled to look them in the eyes with the same ease, I know. And I care. But I also know that carrying this weight hasn't brought you peace. Yes, you've survived. But truly living, that's been rare. Because when something's broken inside, even the good days feel incomplete. That's why I invite you today to surrender. Not just what hurt you, but also what you've been clinging to as defense. Let me into that memory that still stings. Let me walk with you through those moments you've been avoiding. Not to expose you, but to heal you. Because what you don't surrender ends up controlling you, but what you place in my hands, I transform. Maybe you're thinking, but what if it doesn't work? What if I open up and get hurt again? My child, I never promised a life without pain, but I did promise my presence. I will be with you, even if the other person's response isn't what you hope for. And even if reconciliation takes time, peace within you will come straight away, because real healing begins in your heart, not in someone else's actions. You need to understand this. Forgiveness isn't something you offer only when the other person repents. Forgiveness is your decision before me. When you choose to forgive, you set yourself free from the prison of resentment. You're saying, I won't carry this any longer. I want to live lighter. And that's when I step in and begin restoring everything around you. Have you noticed how quickly time passes? Your children's childhoods, the birthdays forgotten, the moments that will never return. Don't let pride steal even more time from your life. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for guarantees. Start now with what you have. A willing heart. You don't need to deliver speeches or teach lessons. Sometimes all that's needed is to listen. Just be there. Presence means more than arguments. Saying, I'm sorry, heals more than trying to explain. And a humble gesture speaks louder than 1,000 justifications. Don't be surprised if once you make this choice, things start shifting in your home. A conversation you thought impossible might suddenly happen. A hardened heart might begin to soften. A child might open up. Even if it's not instant, don't give up. Loving obedience always bears fruit, even when it's invisible at first. Your children are watching. Even if they say nothing, they notice. They notice when you choose to respond with kindness. They notice when you own up to mistakes. And every one of those choices teaches them to be more human and more like me. I treasure every step you take toward peace, and today I bless you for it. You're not acting alone. You're walking beside me. And where I am, there's no room for pride, only restoration. The healing of your family has already begun, inside of you. Now that you've understood healing starts within, I want you to look around your home with new eyes. Don't just see faces, see hearts. Try to look beyond the coldness of the one who's withdrawn. Silence doesn't always mean disregard. Sometimes it's just a muffled cry no one ever had the patience to hear. Do you remember when everything felt simpler? When touch was gentle, laughter came easy, and hugs didn't need permission? That still exists. It's just been buried under layers of unresolved pride. But I'm peeling back those layers with care. Each gesture you make, inspired by me, is like a light switched on in a once dark room. You don't need to worry about visible, dramatic changes. Sometimes the greatest transformation happens quietly, unnoticed at first. You'll notice it in the way the atmosphere becomes lighter, in the way eyes begin to meet again, in how love starts to take up the space where pride once ruled. Maybe you've cried in silence wondering if your family can still be saved. And today I answer you, yes it can. Because where there's love, there's always a chance for a new beginning. Even if the bonds seem too loose, I specialize in mending what appears beyond repair. But I need your perseverance. I know there are days when everything feels stuck. You take one step closer and the other person takes 2 steps back. You try to talk and all you get is a blank stare. But don't be fooled by appearances. I'm already at work in places you can't yet see. You don't need to force anything. You don't need to demand results or be disheartened by the other's slowness to respond with affection. I work in perfect time. And the perfect time isn't always fast, but it is always right. What you're doing now, in this moment of prayer, is already a spiritual milestone. You're opening doors that have been shut for years. I'm entering into the hidden rooms of the soul, locked by old wounds. I'm breaking cycles that began generations ago. Cycles of silence, of pride, of emotional absence. You might not realize it, but many of the difficult behaviors you're seeing today are echoes of unhealed pain no one dared to face. But you dared. You're here now, allowing yourself to be transformed. And that courageous choice will echo for a long time. Your children, your grandchildren, your entire household will feel the impact of what's happening in this very moment. Because when someone chooses love, they break the cycle of pride and create a new legacy. Have you ever noticed how peace sounds different? It doesn't shout. It doesn't force. It arrives gently, settles in, and suddenly everything around feels calmer. That's what I'm planting in your home today. Peace. And with it will come respect, care, and understanding. But I must also prepare you. Not everyone will understand your change straight away. Some will be suspicious. Others may resist. That's normal. This world has learned to defend itself before trusting. But don't stop. Keep sowing, even in hard ground, because the rain of grace will come. Don't do this for recognition. Don't expect applause or immediate gratitude. Do it out of love. Do it for me. Do it because you believe goodness always triumphs, even if it takes time to bloom. And when that love finds a place in the heart of another, you will witness the miracle. A miracle isn't just physical healing or visible reversals. A miracle is when a hardened heart begins to soften. It's when a son calls his father, old man again, with affection. It's when a wife smiles upon hearing her husband's voice again. It's when the home becomes a refuge once more, not a battleground. That's what I want for you. I want your home to be a place where love is in the air, where prayer isn't just a moment but a way of life, where pride has no voice, and forgiveness becomes everyone's language. And it all begins with your decision to carry on, even without guarantees. You are the answer to someone's prayer. Be sure of that. Even if it wasn't spoken aloud, I heard every cry whispered in silence. And today, through your life, I am answering. Your healing is also the healing of those around you. Now I want to invite you to do something that might seem simple, but is deeply powerful. Bring a name before me. That name that weighs on your heart, that hurts just to remember. It might be someone in your family, a relative, a child, a spouse. That name you love, but that also carries pain, frustration, and broken expectations. Say that name softly, or just in your thoughts if you prefer. I've already heard it. Now let me enter into that relationship. Let me reach that person with the same patience I'm showing you right now. Because what you can't say, I know how to express through love. I know the behind the scenes of this story. I know what was said to you in your most fragile moments. I know what you hoped for and never received. I know the promises that were broken, the actions that hurt, the coldness that wounded more than any word. And even so, I still say, there is room for rebuilding. You don't need to pretend you're not hurting. I never asked you to hide your pain. On the contrary, bring it all, just as it is. Even if it feels messy, I work through honesty. And only those who allow themselves to be healed are truly restored. You might be thinking, but I've already tried so much. And maybe you have, through words, through actions, through advice. But now, try with prayer. Try with a silence, full of presence. Try with gestures that speak louder than speeches. Sometimes you expect an emotional, instant response. But healing, inside a home, is like planting a tree. First comes the hole in the ground, then the seed, then time. And only much later comes the fruit. But none of it happens without that first movement. And today, you're moving. You're allowing yourself to love again. Not with naivety, but with maturity. The kind of love that doesn't need to win arguments to win hearts. The kind of love that transforms, even without making noise. You're learning that being right doesn't matter more than having peace. You're understanding that the pride you carried only pushed you away from what you most desired: comfort. Embrace mutual understanding. And now that you've placed that in my hands, I can finally act without resistance. The door of your heart has been unlocked, and with it, many others will open. What once was a burden now becomes surrender. What was once demand becomes compassion. You begin to see others not through eyes of resentment, but through the lens of their story. And you realize the one who hurt you may also be hurting inside. And that's where true empathy begins. You don't need to become someone else to be respected. You only need to remain faithful to who I've called you to be. Calm, present, steady, loving. Even if the other hasn't changed yet, you've already started the process, and that alone is cause for celebration in my eyes. If you return home today and everything seems the same, don't be discouraged. True miracles begin on the inside and grow in silence. The tone of voice shifts, the way of looking changes, the atmosphere transforms, and when you least expect it, a door that once felt locked will open. Because you chose to trust, I'm using you as a vessel. Yes, you. With all your limitations, doubts, and fears. It's in hearts like yours that I love to work. Because you don't rely on your own strength, you trust in mine, and that's why this will work. Now take a deep breath. You feel lighter, don't you? That's what happens when you remove pride from the center and let love take its place. And this love, which isn't human but comes from above, will guide your next steps. And I'll be in every single one of them. Don't think this moment ends when the prayer is over. This is just the beginning of a beautiful journey. From today on, your home will carry marks of healing. Even if the wounds still exist, they'll no longer have the same weight. Because now, I'm taking care of it. Now that you've handed everything over to me, now that you've opened your heart, named your pain, taken a deep breath, and chosen to trust, I want you to know, you are no longer alone. Your family is in good hands. Not in the hands of theories or chance, but in my hands, firm, steady, and filled with gentleness. The same hands that have raised broken homes, restored marriages in ruins, and brought children back into the arms of parents who could only cry in silence. Today I place a new seal over your home, a seal of hope, of reconciliation, of real new beginnings. Because what you've handed to me in prayer I will transform with faithfulness. You didn't pray into the wind. You prayed to the one who hears what no one else hears, and acts where no one else can reach. Now I ask you, walk in peace. Don't cling to the fear that everything will go back to how it was. Don't feed doubt, and don't believe the lies pride may try to whisper again. You've taken important steps. You've let your heart be shaped. And when someone chooses to live healed, the whole household begins to feel the effect. Healing doesn't happen through beautiful words alone. It happens in the everyday moments, in the choice not to shout when everything inside you wants to fight back, in the decision to sit at the table and listen, even when the other still speaks harshly, in the act of staying, even when pride says it's time to walk away. And I'll be there in each of those moments. I'll remind you of the purpose. I'll remind you why you began this prayer. I'll remind you that you were called to love beyond what is easy. Because this love, the kind that doesn't give up, is the one that looks most like me. If pain tries to return, call on me. If pride tries to take over again, speak to me. I never tire of restoring. I don't get irritated by your setbacks. I'll walk with you again and again, as many times as it takes. You were chosen to be peace where there was conflict. To be a voice of reconciliation where silence once ruled. To be an embrace where there was distance. Don't underestimate yourself. Don't think your actions are too small. They are seeds. And soon, they will become fruit. That child who drifted away. That spouse who grew silent. That relative who hurt you. They're all being touched by me at this very moment. And even if they don't realize it now, one day they will look back and say, "It was you who didn't give up on us. And it was God who gave you the strength." Your home will laugh again. It will feel long embraces at the end of the day. It will hear prayer spoken out loud, without shame. It will see full tables, light hearts, and peace that doesn't depend on circumstances. And it all begins with the choice you made today. And if one day you find yourself wondering whether it was all worth it, if at any point the burden feels heavy again, remember that I am with you. And yes, it is worth it, because every healed home becomes a blessed inheritance for those who come after. Now let me close this moment with a blessing. I bless your steps and your actions. I bless your gaze and your listening. I bless your patience and your capacity to love beyond pride. And I bless every corner of your home, even the most forgotten ones, with reconciliation, forgiveness, and new beginnings. You are an answer to prayer. You are the turning point in your family's story. And what began today will continue until everything is healed. Go in peace. I am with you, and wherever I dwell, pride loses, and love always wins.